What's up everybody, this is DJ Jordan Nelson coming to you from the DJs Guru with a brand new DMX lighting controller that has me very excited. For a long time there's been this big divide between budget hardware DMX controllers and their software counterparts. The hardware controllers are pretty simple but also very basic and struggle to do the more complicated effects and movement patterns that we see in the software options. Now the software options have become super popular over the past decade, but they require a computer to run, which is another failure point, more connections, and if you want any sort of tactile control over your lighting, you're gonna have to get a MIDI controller. This controller, which is the ADJ WMX1, is kind of the merging of these two ideas, and it's the first time we've had a really great standalone lighting controller with built-in effects generators and movement generators without having to fork out tens of thousands, or I guess thousands, for a professional lighting desk. And this thing is just got it all. It does everything from the most basic to the most complex, and in this video today I'm going to show you what comes in the box, but more importantly I'm going to give you a full demo of as many features as I can on this guy. There are a ton. I don't think I could fit them all in one video unless it was a couple hours long, but I'm going to show you the most important stuff with a light show setup, a live demo, so that you can see how to get started with programming on this guy. Now before I dive into that, if you're not already, make sure you're following the DJs Guru everywhere we are, YouTube, Facebook, like this video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell when you subscribe, all of that so that we can keep bringing you the best DJ lighting and audio reviews and videos out there. But enough about that, let's dive into taking a look at what's in the box. Now, the majority of this video is going to be the actual demonstration of the controller with a light show, but I did just want to point out, first of all, this is a very compact unit. It was smaller than I expected, but that's a good thing. It's easy to throw this in a bag, in a gig case, or a backpack. You can take this anywhere. If you're just doing solo lighting work, this thing would be super portable. You could program on an airplane or take this to another city if you wanted to, and it's powerful enough to do that, I think. So inside of the box, you're going to have this little kind of explanation sheet of the different buttons and the layout of the controller. You're not going to need this because I'm going to show you right now. And then we have the actual WMX1 itself. It's beautiful. It's got a great feel to it, kind of like a rubberized plastic on all the sides there. The bottom is like a metal base plate, and you've got all of your buttons right here. And these are not like pressure sensitive pads like in like a DJ controller, like a DDJ SX or something. They actually have like a tactile click that gives you some feedback if you're in a dark environment. Same with the encoder knobs. They have like notches so that you know where you are in your controls. We'll go over all the different buttons in a second. Did want to point out that this is basically a computer running lighting software, but in a standalone package. You don't need to connect this to anything. It's got a really nice bright 4.3-inch capacitive touch screen that has all of your information on it, which you'll see in just a moment. And then around the back, we just have our USB connection for power. I'll show you the cable that they include in a moment. You can also connect it to your computer just for firmware and getting profiles, but you don't need the computer to run it. There's a line in for pumping in audio if you want it to go to the beat, and then 4 DMX outputs, 2 3-pin, 2 5-pin. You can do up to 4 DMX universes with this guy. They include one out of the box, so 512 channels. And what's really nice is that this can function as a splitter, so you can send the same universe to all 4 outputs. So if you have lights in different areas, you don't have to run one long cable chain. Okay, that's super nice. So that's the controller. They also include this little bag that has your USB wall wart as well as your USB cable. Okay, that's the plug, that's the cable, pretty standard kind of like printer looking USB cable there. And then we've also got a quick start guide right here and a reference manual, which are pretty much the same. The information is very similar between the two. And if you struggle to do something on this controller, for example, I had a little bit of a problem kind of creating a profile. I just went to the ADJ WMX1 user group on Facebook, and there's so many helpful people there. So that's kind of the overview of the controller itself, but I really wanted to dedicate most of this time to showing you how it works. So we'll cut to a shot I did just a bit ago of me actually using this with a pair of movers and a pair of wash bars. All right, so enough talking, let's see this setup in action. So you can see 2 camera angles here. We've got one GoPro filming the lights themselves, which are 2 Eliminator stealth spots, as well as 2 Eliminator Frost FX bars. And then we have the camera showing the WMX1 itself. Now, on our home screen, which is what you're seeing now, you access the home screen by clicking the button in the top left. The home screen shows you A, B, C, and D, which are our 4 lighting groups. If we hit Shift and BPM tap, we can go to the second set of groups, and Shift and BPM tap will take you back to your first 4. Now, I'm only using group A and B. A is my movers, B is my LED bars. Below the 2 groups, we've got an encoder wheel. This actually allows us to control the dimmer of that group, so I can dim and raise up my movers. And then same with my LED bars. I'm going to keep those at 3% because they will blow out the camera otherwise. Now, if you click the encoder knob, you can actually black out a specific light, okay, and then click it again to bring it back. Below those 2 encoder wheels are 5 pads. Some of them are lit up for the LED bars, and all of them are lit up for the movers. And this is how you access certain features of the lights. For example, this top button right here on each row, or each column, excuse me, is the solo button. So if I click this, it will solo just the heads. If I click this one, it will solo just the bar, and it will turn it to 100% intensity. The button below that is also a solo button, but it will turn the lights to white. They're already on white right now, but again, it will do like kind of a blinder and turn it all the way up intensity-wise. Now, below that, we have our 3 buttons here, which are our color effects, move effects, and beam effects. These are for the effect generators, and we'll go over those in just a minute. So that's our home screen. Now, also on the home screen, we have access to the settings, where you can adjust the project, save it, save a new project, load a project. You can adjust the individual groups of lights and lock the controller so no one else can mess with it. We've also got this little icon up here with the moving head. That is how you add and delete fixtures. So you can see that I've got 2 stealth spots, both in group A, assigned to channel 1 and 16, and then the 2 Frost FX bars assigned to channels 31 and 133. If you wanted to add a light, you just click this little plus button up here. You've got all of your different brands right here, and then within those brands, you've got the different fixtures, okay? If you want to make your own, you just go up to the top, you go to Wolfmix, and here you can go with this paper icon, excuse me, that's how you add a new fixture, and you can set up each channel for whatever you want. Now, we're not going to mess with that right now. We're just going to go back to the home and keep clicking that until we're back out, all right? So there's whole demos on how to make new fixtures, but it's pretty complicated, so we're not going to get into that right now. So that's our home screen. Below that, we have our 3 effects generators, color, move, and beam. We'll talk about those in just a moment. Let's go down here to the static group of things. Color right here is where you can select individual colors. Again, for group A, the movers, or group B for the bar. So if I want to do blue on both, I can do that. If I want to do blue movers and yellow on the bar, red on the bar, yellow on the movers, you can do this in time with the music, however you want. Okay, now we've got 5 colors up here. If we click the encoder wheel, it takes us to another 5. We've got amber, lime, cyan, UV, and pink. Okay, clicking this will take you back to the first 5. And I believe you are able to modify these colors as well as you choose. Okay, so that's the static color option. Again, you can kind of just change these how you want if you just want a single color. You can also change the mode. So let's say we want 2 colors. We can set it up, for example, with this little icon at the bottom here that's every other dot. We can do every other color, every 3 colors. You know, you can kind of choose how you want. There's so many customization options. This will kind of do like a fan effect. This will do, oh, you can see that we've got just kind of an array of colors. All these different modes affect how you program the colors within the light. I'm gonna go back to single. That's the easiest to understand as we have it right now. So that's the static color button. Then we can go to the static position button. The only one that has positions is group A, which is the movers. So right now we've got it pointed at the floor. We've also got center point, which is kind of center ceiling. Then we've got, this is kind of more straightforward. Then we've got ceiling. As you can see, those tilt up a little bit more into my ceiling, and then ceiling point. You know, these are just static positions. There's a second page, of course, and you can program your own positions however you'd like. We've also got the static gobo wheel. So right here, if I click the gobo, we can change the different gobos. Maybe you can see that in the beams. I'll shoot out a little more fog real quick. All right, we're getting a little more fog in here. So this is how you change your gobos. Again, multiple pages if your fixture supports more than 5 gobos. And then at the bottom, you can see on the screen, rotate 6%, so you can actually adjust the rotation. If I turn it all the way left, 0, you got static gobos, and then you can turn your gobos up faster and faster like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of put mine back on static, and I'm just gonna take my gobo off and just go back to an open. Now the last button down here on the static section is the live edit button. This is where if you wanna dial in something that's not in the color, move, or beam section, for example, focus, you can do that here. So you can just select an empty button, you can select which fixtures you wanna edit, and then you go up to edit right in the top right corner. Let's say we want to adjust focus. You click focus, and then you turn the first encoder knob to dial that in. So I'm just going to bring the focus up for my lights, get them nice and focused, nice sharp beams, perfect. And then you would just click that button again, and now that's saved as edit 2. So you can kind of turn those live edits on and off as you wish. So I've got one called living room focus. This gets my lights perfectly focused for this room. Okay, so live edit is, you know, how you can kind of control the more obscure parameters of your light. We've got gobo for our moving heads, position, and color. Right, so again, easy as that. Now, obviously, the meat and potatoes of this controller are going to be the effects generators over here. So we'll go back to the home, and what we'll do is actually go down to the color effects first, and we're going to do this mostly on the LED bar. So we've got our different effect programs across the top: rainbow, sparkle, kind of this chaser effect, and we can just activate those by clicking on them. And then if we want a certain light to do it, the top row of buttons, group A, B, C, and D, will turn that on. So we're going to go to group B, which is our light bar, hit on, and now we've got this kind of rainbow effect going. Now let me kind of pick a couple different colors here so that you can see it. We'll do this one, and we're gonna make sure we turn it on for this light. Okay, so it's kind of freaking out right now. I wanna slow the speed down with the first encoder. All of the different parameters are adjustable with the 4 encoder wheel. So for example, we can take down the speed right there. We can also change the phase. Right now it's on 80% phase. If we scroll that down, you can see now the light is changing in sync. I'm gonna slow that speed down even more. There we go. If we speed the phase up, you can see it kind of does a linear effect. And then fade right here, if you want it to just be like a straight jump like that, or if you want it to be more smooth, you can adjust that with the fade knob right here. Super slick. We've also got the sparkle effect. We've got the chaser. We've got the disco, which kind of like bounce back and forth. And this is a good effect to demonstrate the fact that we can adjust the speed either with this percentage wheel. We can click so that the music note is up, and that gives us a BPM tap. So if we've just got a beat like now you can see the light kind of going to that same tempo. And if we click the encoder knob once more, it goes to the microphone, and that will just go based off the internal microphone or the line input. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the speed wheel. A couple more effects. Another rainbow. Again, we can kind of adjust the phase, and we can adjust the fade, kind of create all sorts of cool things. And then another sparkle. This one's pretty cool. This one's kind of like a twinkly. We can increase the size. Now we've got like different size groups going. Another rainbow, and another chaser kind of in and out right here. So tons of different effects generators, and you can adjust so many parameters: speed, phase, size, and fade, and create really cool effects. Oh, and of course your colors, right? So if we want to change up the colors, we can do that right here. Okay, now let's go down to the move effects. Now we activate this by clicking, again, this top row is how you activate it for your different groups, A, B, C, and D. We only have group A that has movement, so we're going to turn that on for our movers, and we can see them start moving. Up across the top we have our different effects. I'm just going to go through them. We've got a vertical kind of bounce. We've got a horizontal sweep, okay? We've got a circle, okay? Again, all of these have parameters like speed. You can twist the first encoder to adjust the speed. Phase, so you can put the lights out of phase. Size, so you can like have them do it in a smaller area. I'm gonna make it all the way. And then fade. So if, I don't know, if your fade, I guess, is between different movement programs. Not as relevant for the movement effects. We've also got this one, Magic 8 Ball, which is kind of like a cool circly small movement. We've got this Magic Lamp, which is kind of like a bouncing magic carpet, I think they call it. We've also got disco, which is kind of a up and down, really cool effect. I like that one a lot. And I'll use this one to illustrate what the rest of this button grid is here. So you can see, apart from the top row, which is how we activate it, we've got this 4x4 grid. And if we click in the middle 4 buttons, it'll place the effect in the middle of the fixture's pan and tilt area. If we click on the side, it'll move the effect to the side. If we click the other side, it'll move it to that side. If we click the bottom, it'll go to the bottom. And if we click the top, it will do the effect up at the top. And you can even do the 4 corners as well. So if you want to kind of have your effect on the left and then move it over to the right, you can do that. And then put it back in the center. You can adjust where the movement is. And then the last effect we've got here is kind of your ballyhoo, which is like kind of big circular here. I'm going to increase the size a little bit. Really cool. I'll slow that down. So now I've got a little bit slower effect. And we can even put them more out of phase, turn our speed up there. Really cool. So all sorts of customizability with this move effects generator. I'm gonna go back to our circle right here. Now the last effects generator is the beam effects generator, and to use this I'm gonna go back to color effects and I'm gonna turn the color effect off, and I'm actually gonna go to move and I'm gonna turn the movement much slower here so it's not as distracting. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to static position actually, and I'm just going to aim these up at the ceiling. Okay, so now you can kind of see the beam right there, the LED bar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click beam effects, and we've got different effects that we can apply to our LEDs to adjust the intensity. So I'm going to go to group 2. This first one right here actually is the sine wave, so you can kind of see that sweeping from one side to the other. All right. And you get the same parameters here: speed, phase, size, and fade. And again, you can, for your speed, you can select percentage wheel, you can select music, microphone, or tap BPM. So I'm just going to go to the percentage wheel right here. Then we've got a little sparkle effect right here. We've got a chaser. We've got the disco kind of back and forth. We can kind of speed that up again. We've got the heart pulsate mode. This one has a lot of cool effects if you adjust things like the phase. So here's phase at 0, so kind of the whole thing is moving. And then we've got, as we bring up the phase, you can see all sorts of cool effects. Faster and faster. Like that right there looks awesome. And then size, changing the size also makes the effect do really cool things. We'll kind of bring it down. Now it's just a couple LEDs, single LED. Really, really cool adjustability there. And then your fade time as well if you want it to just be static pixels, or if you want it to kind of trail off with the fade. Okay, and then these ones right here, these grids, these last 3, you can actually set your own kind of patterns and adjust them how you want. A little too in depth for this video, but I thought I'd make you aware of that. Now you can also apply the beam effects to your moving heads, so they will also kind of fade in and out. If I turn the phase on, we can add the movement back in, and now we've just got a really cool effect. We can change the color of our movers, and look at that, like an awesome programmed movement and beam effects pattern, and that took about 2 seconds. Okay, so those are our 3 effects generators, our static controls. We go back to home, we're gonna go to this panel here on the right. Now the panel on the right has some of our kind of one-off flash button type things. We already know about the BPM tap up here at the top. Here, let me turn on a brighter light here so we can kind of see a little bit better. I'm gonna turn off this beam effects temporarily. Okay, so on the right side we have these more momentary flash buttons, okay? Up here we have the BPM tap, we talked about that. Below that we have this cool button, the ADJ logo, or the Wolfmix button on the UK version. Clicking that does this really cool sparkly build-up effect. You can see that on the main camera. That's kind of like good for a build-up, and you can adjust with all of these momentary buttons whether or not it's set to flash mode. So right now it'll only do it if I'm holding it. You can have it be toggle, so each click will toggle it on and off. And then you can go down to 1 second timer. So when you click it, it'll do it for 1 second and then turn off automatically. There's also a 5 second timer and a 10 second timer, but I use the flash button most often. Now below that we have blinder. Okay, so when you hold that, it'll turn your lights to full intensity, and you can actually on the left side adjust how long it takes to fade out. So 0 seconds is just on and off, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, which is my favorite, and then we've also got 1 second and 2 seconds. So I keep it at the half second, and I think that looks really good. Now below that, speed. If we click speed, it speeds up all the programs by a set amount. So I've got it set on 4x. You can also set it to 8x, or you can set it to freeze when you hold that button. So if you hold that, everything freezes, and then let go and it goes. If you hold that, you can do a half second speed. You can have it set as a 2x speed or as a 4x speed. I actually think a freeze button is my favorite. Holding that and it will pause your programs. I think that's pretty handy. So that's the speed button. Then the last one, second to last one, excuse me, is the blackout button. So I just have that on a toggle. That blacks out all the fixtures. And then there's a smoke button below that. If you have a fog machine hooked up, you can trigger a DMX fog or haze machine, which is pretty handy. Okay, so I use these a lot, especially this kind of ADJ button to get that cool build up, and then a strobe on the drop, and you can kind of adjust the speed of the strobe, so like 1%, 25%, the drop's getting faster, 75%, 100%, and then you can kind of drop into your mix, okay? So that's the momentary buttons, and then we've got this preset button right here. Again, you can make scenes that you like and then save them as presets right here, which is really handy. If there's like a combo that you really love, you can save it to a preset and then trigger those presets in this section, okay? And then you can unclick that, click it a second time, and you go back to the home screen, okay? So that is kind of an overview of all the different parts of this controller. Honestly, there's so much to it. I could not do it all in a single video, but this is a surface level view of how you can get started making a light show with this controller. So there you have it. That is the ADJ WMX1. I love the fact that you've got the power and the flexibility of lighting software, but in a standalone package that doesn't need to be connected to a laptop to run. The touch display is so responsive. The buttons feel great. Everything about this functions flawlessly, and I think it's going to be a big game changer for a lot of DJs and bands that are into lighting. Now, a few things that I do want to say as we wrap up. This is not just like super intuitive. This is not hands-off like Sound Switch. You're not going to plug this in and it's just going to make light shows for you. You don't have to do anything. This is meant to be very hands-on. This is for someone that is either having a lighting tech come with them, they're doing lighting solo, or you're able to maybe mix minimally and run your lights at the same time. This requires you to play with it, or else it's just going to stay on one thing. I like that aspect of it. I like to be able to create buildups and scene changes as often as I can, a couple times per song. But if you would just like to set and forget, this is probably not for you. It requires a little bit of base DMX knowledge just to figure out how to create profiles, adjust the settings. But if you're anyone who has even a little bit of experience with DMX, and you've kind of been looking for something that allows you to have very active, hands-on control of your light show, just like a professional desk would, I think this is the answer right here. So if you want to grab one of these, I'll include links down in the description. You can go check them out for purchase there. And as always, like I mentioned before, make sure you are following the DJs Guru, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook or elsewhere. Give us a subscription, hit the notification bell. You're not going to want to miss the videos we've got coming in the future. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.